There are two extremes with Jason Statham's driving skills. I did a picture with Jason where he actually did his own driving stunts. They basically said to me, if Jason hadn't chosen to be an actor, he would be a great stunt driver. He was that good.
In the black silence beneath the surface of the Black Sea, a 3-ton truck was sinking fast, with Jason Statham trapped inside. Water surged into his lungs, props dragged him down, and panic closed in. But his body remembered what life had taught him long before fame. Survival doesn't start with action. It starts with hunger. The street-hardened beginning. Long before Hollywood called his name, Jason Statham was learning how to survive in the cold corners of Shirebrook, a working-class town in Derbyshire, England. Born in 1967 to a dancer mother and a hustler father, he grew up in a house where meals weren't guaranteed and nothing ever came easily. His father sold fake watches, knockoff jewelry, and perfume that smelled more like gasoline than roses. By the age of 14, Jason was standing beside him on busy street corners, perfecting the art of the sell, not out of ambition, but out of necessity. He learned to read people the way others read books, who would stop, who might buy, who to avoid. His line, "My name is Billy, not silly," was half a joke, half a shield. Behind the wink was a teenager humiliated by poverty, but hardened by it too. Every rejection, every sneer from passing strangers was a lesson in resilience. But Jason found a kind of sanctuary in movement. Martial arts became his escape. Chinese kung fu, kickboxing, karate. It didn't matter the style, only the discipline. Each strike, each block, each kata taught him control in a life defined by chaos. And then, by sheer coincidence, he discovered diving. At 15, he climbed a platform, launched into the air, and realized he wasn't afraid of falling. In fact, he craved it. Because falling to Jason wasn't failure, it was freedom. And for the first time, his body felt like a way out. Diving dreams and Olympic disillusion. Diving became Jason's obsession. It was more than sport. It was identity. He joined the British National Diving Squad and trained with a devotion that bordered on punishing. Mornings began before school with icy pool water. Evenings ended in aching muscles and the muffled echo of splash after splash. Weekends disappeared into routines of repetition. Approaches, tucks, twists, entries, all chasing perfection. In 1990, he competed at the Commonwealth Games in New Zealand. 2 years later, he ranked 12th at the World Championships. But his real dream, the Olympics, remained just out of reach. Twice, in 1988 and 1992, he tried. Twice, he failed. The margins were razor thin. The disappointment was not. For years, he carried the failure like weight stitched beneath his ribs, silent, invisible, but always there. He once said it never left him. It just settled deep, like a stone pressed against his chest, cold and permanent. 12 years of devotion, of isolation, of chasing a single moment, erased in seconds by scores that weren't high enough. There were no sponsorships, no endorsements. Diving did not make him famous. It left him broken and unseen. With no podium, no medals, and no direction, Jason returned to the only life he knew, the hustle. But fate intervened in an unlikely place. At the Crystal Palace National Sports Center, where he still trained to stay sane, a modeling scout spotted his physique. His diving body, built by sacrifice, suddenly had value. Brands like Levi's and French Connection put him in campaigns. But while his face appeared on billboards, he still sold fake jewelry at night. He had left the pool, but survival was still the only game he knew. From street seller to movie star. In 1997, while still modeling for French Connection, Jason Statham met a young director who would change everything. Guy Ritchie. Ritchie was casting for a gritty crime film and had heard about Jason's past selling goods on the streets. Instead of a formal audition, he asked Jason to do what he'd always done, convince him to buy fake jewelry. No script, no pretense, just pure lived experience. Jason slipped effortlessly into the role, not because he studied it, but because he had lived it. That raw authenticity landed him the part of Bacon in Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. The film was a surprise hit, grossing over $80 million and launching Guy Ritchie's career. For Jason, it was more than a role, it was rebirth. At 31, he had his first real break. 2 years later, Snatch solidified him as a rising star. Yet, even with Brad Pitt on the same poster, Jason's paycheck was still modest, around $19,000. Fame, it seemed, didn't always come with fortune. Around the same time, Jason began dating model Kelly Brook. Their 7-year relationship would unravel under the weight of his growing career. As Jason poured himself into roles, Kelly felt abandoned. When the relationship finally collapsed, her words weren't loud or dramatic, but they cut deeper than any fight. She told him he had been absent in all the ways that mattered, and in that quiet confession, he realized success had cost him the person waiting closest to his heart. It wasn't just a breakup. It was a moment of emotional reckoning. Jason buried his heartbreak in work. The Transporter in 2002 turned him into an international action figure and earned him $750,000. But behind the camera, he was already bruised, physically and emotionally. He wasn't just building a career. He was running from the emptiness that failure, loss, and success had each left behind in different ways. Because for Jason, every scene wasn't just performance, it was penance, the beekeeper and the broken body. By the 2010 S, Jason Statham was no longer just a rising star. He was a full-fledged cinematic force. With The Expendables, Crank, The Mechanic, and the Fast and Furious series, he carved out a place as one of the most physically committed action stars on the planet. Unlike most actors, he refused to use stunt doubles. If someone was leaping from a rooftop, crashing a motorcycle, or being hurled through glass, it was Jason. That insistence came with a cost. During the filming of The Expendables 3 in Bulgaria, that cost nearly became everything. In a scene meant to show Jason speeding a 3-ton truck to a sudden stop before engaging in a fight, the brakes failed. The vehicle didn't stop. It plunged off a dock into the Black Sea. Jason, trapped in full tactical gear, sank with it. 60 feet underwater, with boots dragging him down and water flooding his lungs, the action star faced real death. Yet, his diving instincts, the ones he'd believed had failed him in the past, rose to the surface. He calmed his breath, escaped the tangled holster, and swam through black water to safety. When he emerged, shaken but alive, he dried off, changed clothes, and did the stunt again. But beneath the surface, his body was breaking. Fractured ribs from fight scenes, torn ligaments from falls, nerve damage that turned his hands numb, and concussions that stole clarity in quiet moments. His spine ached, his sleep fractured, and painkillers became part of his daily ritual. He rarely spoke of it publicly. Yet, he kept training, 6 days a week, not for the spotlight, but because he knew the truth. When your body is your legacy, neglect is betrayal. Hidden training that saved his life. Years before the Black Sea incident, Jason had taken his commitment to realism further than most actors ever consider. In preparation for a film role, he trained with experts connected to the British military's elite special boat service, the United Kingdom's naval counterpart to the United States Navy SEALs. The sessions weren't for show. He participated in actual underwater escape drills, including techniques used to survive helicopter crashes at sea. These weren't designed for actors. They were created to keep Special Forces operatives alive. What shocked the instructors wasn't just Jason's physical capability. It was his composure. He executed maneuvers with the precision and control of someone who had trained for years, not days. One instructor reportedly told producers that Jason operated at near-operative levels under pressure. It was a startling admission. This man wasn't just mimicking survival, he was mastering it. So when the brakes failed and the truck carrying Jason plunged off the dock during The Expendables 3, the survival was no accident. His diving past may have given him the instincts, but this elite training gave him the tools. As water filled his lungs and blackness closed in, he didn't panic. He didn't freeze. He fell back on procedures most people never imagined needing, and then he surfaced. In that moment, the line between actor and operator blurred. Jason Statham hadn't just been pretending to be a warrior. He had become one, quietly, in training rooms no one ever filmed. Fatherhood, redemption, and legacy. Fame had given Jason Statham wealth and recognition, but peace came later. and from an unexpected place. In 2010, he met Rosie Huntington Whiteley, a supermodel with a calm presence that balanced his intensity. Their connection wasn't built on red carpets or premieres, but on quiet understanding. Rosie didn't love the action hero. She loved the man who still remembered the sting of selling knockoff cologne on a cold London street. They built a home, not just a house. In 2017, their son Jack was born, followed by daughter Isabella in 2022. Jason, once surrounded by fight choreographers and explosive sets, now found meaning in swimming lessons, bedtime stories, and small hands tugging at his shirt. The man who nearly drowned in the Black Sea now taught his son to float. Outside the spotlight, he became an advocate for stunt performers denied recognition, for terminally ill children, through the charity Together for Short Lives, and for the value of persistence when no one's watching. He no longer fought to prove his worth. He trained, he gave, and he stayed quiet about the pain. Because Jason Statham's real legacy isn't in the stunts, it's in how he chose to heal. He was never just a fighter, never just a face on a poster. Jason Statham is proof that pain can be purpose, and survival can become legacy. The streets hardened him, the falls shaped him, but love refined him. If his journey moved you, hit like, share his story, and subscribe for more untold lives forged in silence but lived out loud.